March the 12th, a little March Madness Santa Anita Pick'em contest. We've got Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oaklawn, Gino Bacola here with you. Normally, we do these on Friday to preview the Saturday, give you all a little bit of a time to get your props, handicapped, to get your lineups and your entries built. But it's the next few weeks, Chase, we're going to do them on Saturdays because there are going to be a lot of the props that involve college basketball, March Madness games on the weekend. And if we would have done them yesterday, it would have been a little bit hard to actually preview them, right?
Yeah, got to make exceptions for religious holidays, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there a couple of the questions ask things that would have happened, that are going to happen in some of the conference title games that we see today. But if we would have done a preview early yesterday, we might not have known who was in the conference final game in some of these games. So we would have really been guessing. Now we know everything is set for these games. And like always, these contests are free. They are totally free to enter. It does not cost you anything. These are the best ways to build your bankroll. You should just set a little reminder for yourself, honestly, for every Saturday, Sunday, and holiday Monday, because, maybe some weeks you'll forget. There are always going to be props that involve the races at Santa Anita, whatever major sports are going on. So right now you'll get some NBA, you'll get some NHL, and the next couple of weeks, lots of college basketball. Yep. Your team's still alive and rolling in their conference tournament. Had a nice day yesterday, so they're in the Final Four of the SEC. Man, this is a blast. I think on Thursday there were 65 games. Yesterday there were 44. Today there are 24 games. And then next week, those Thursday, Friday of next week, those, in my opinion, that Thursday might be as good of a sporting day as there are at all throughout the year.
Oh yeah. And if it doesn't deliver, there's one just like it right after it that is guaranteed to deliver. Yeah.
Yep. So Chase and I are going to go through the 12 props that are on the contest today for Santa Anita's Pick'em. Now, you just have to go to the website, pick'em.santanita.com. Super easy to sign up. Here's what it looks like. All you have to do is click sign up, read the rules here, just so you know all the fine print. If you need to find out a little bit more about some of the specifics, you can click on the how to play, just so that way you know everything before you head on into it. And we go into this one. So, Chase, the first one is going to be NBA. It's going to ask us for the total points in the Bucks-Warriors game tonight. What number did you land on for the tiebreaker?
I'm so basic with these. I looked at averages, put them together, which was 225, and I goosed it up to 226 because I'm trying to break that whole ending in 5s and 0s thing.
Yeah, I went 231. I just went a little bit above with these two teams. And yeah, same sort of thing. Just kind of looking at the average, looking at the number, looking at the line, and kind of adjusting it a little bit based on who's playing and how the teams have been shifting as of late. So yeah, we're both in that kind of same 10-point range, 225 to 230-ish or so in the Bucks Warriors. So I will plug mine in right now so I don't forget. And what's nice, you'll always get an alert every time you answer one of the questions, every time you select one of the props. And speaking of those, tell us which the first one is, Chase.
Yeah, we're going to be just JPW, just picking winners here. Looking at the first race at Santa Anita, it's 5 furlongs on the turf, a $25,000 allowance race for 4-year-olds and upward, which have started for a claiming price of $25,000 or less in 2020-2022.
And
it's what you would expect from a 5 furlong sprint. There's a ton of early speed in here. So naturally, the mind, if you're a pace handicapper, says this is going to melt down. I don't think it melts down quite enough for a big time closer. You are checked on my horse that I thought got it here also, which was Barristan the Bold, who should be sitting right off that pace.
Yep. I think that's the horse this horse is in really nice form right now. You can eliminate the 2-start back race going 6. That was just probably in a little bit too tough. We saw Barraza come out of that race and win a graded stakes out of there. So that race has come back very, very live. I think it's just a good spot for Barristan the Bold. Honestly, Barristan the Bold will be the selection for both me and for the Wolf. So on the JPW, just pick winners. We try to get off the bat with the winner here. Nothing too crazy, nothing too outside the box, but a horse who I'm thinking, what do we want to see, like sitting third or so here?
Yeah, sitting third. I want to see about a length and a half off. I think a length and a half off, maybe getting a little pocket trip is just perfect striking position.
So this next one, prop 2, is kind of fun because this combines a couple different things. Which number is the highest? Giannis stocks, great stat, steals and blocks. Steph Curry, 3-pointers, Kings goals scored or Sharks goals scored today. So talk us through your process a little bit and what number and which one of these you landed on.
I feel like people just tuned in to watch us agree with each other over and over again because I was on the Kings goals scored. They're the more prolific of the two hockey teams that we have in this prop. Steals plus blocks feels really dicey. It's not like he could have 10 blocks in a game. He could have, 2 blocks in a game. He could have 0 steals in the game.
Absolutely.
And then Steph Curry averages about 3.8 3-pointers a game. He'll probably have to go bananas to outscore a hockey team.
Yeah. So I did similar. I just kind of basically looked at the numbers. So in the last 20-ish games, Giannis has about 1.2 blocks, 1.3-ish steals. So he's in the 2.4, 2.5 range. That's kind of his average in the last 15 games for Steph Curry. You mentioned 3.8. Yeah, he's right on that. He's about 3.6 threes per game. And when you look at the Sharks, their last 12 games, so since February the 1st, they've been awful. They're 3-9 in that stretch. They've only averaged over 2 goals a game, 2.08, just over 2. Whereas the Kings, in their last 16 games, so even a little bit bigger sample size, they're averaging 3.56 per game. So you're telling me that the Curry number and the Kings number are almost identical, and I'm going to be going in a situation where I'm going way undervalued with the Kings. If you're close like that, I'm always going to take the underdog in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. If it's a toss up, give me something that's gonna actually give me an edge over the rest of this field.
Yep. So that is number 2. For the third, Chase, tell us a little bit about race number 3. I'm going to pull up the past performances from DRF so we can dive into this one.
Sure. We're going a mile on the turf. It's a $67,000 maiden special weight for fillies and mares 3 years old and up. And it's just your good old-fashioned maiden special weight race, man. You have a bunch of horses that haven't necessarily passed other horses. You have a bunch of horses that have been speed and kind of backed up on the lead. I thought this was actually a great race to zig, and I went with who I thought could possibly be the speed of speed that dares other horses to pass it in the stretch. And that was, I think I've been on this one in our contest before, and maybe at an even bigger price, the 3 Ruby Ray.
Ruby Ray is now going to go third start off the bench. Ruby Ray is quick. Ruby Ray has had legitimate trouble in a couple starts too. So now there's a lot of positives for Ruby Ray. I think this is a filly who, if you're playing any kind of early pick 5s or stuff, you definitely want her on your ticket. So I think I have her picked in the third spot overall. It makes a lot of sense.
I tossed that last outing where she jumped the tire tracks, and if you look at her first effort on turf, really good. Actually had to steady a little bit, and with a little more real estate like she's getting today, could have easily gotten to the wire in that race at 17 to 1.
So she's the 7 in this race that we're watching right here, and you'll notice where it says jump the tracks like she does right there. She doesn't. You could tell she was on the lead, and some of these horses, they don't just take to the surface changes, right? When you go over the dirt, back to the turf, and back and forth, you're a little green. So now after a good start and then kind of a couple goofy steps, and then you rush right back up into it, and you're in between horses. So yeah, I think you have a better race there for Ruby Ray to get back to.
2 recipes for disaster for any horse is 1, being in between horses, and 2, rushing up, because that's just they can look full of run and they will just flatten out after that rush up.
What's nice about these DRF past performances and the formulator past performances that we're using here, you can just one click and then you're at the replay. If you're curious to see how strong the race was that Ruby Ray exits, you can just one click and boom, you're right to the chart. And then you can go back and see, all these horses and how they've done. So you can see, okay, Fluent was the horse who beat Ruby Ray last time out. What does Fluent look like before that? So from a convenience standpoint, this is awesome. This helps me so I don't have to have 50 million tabs up. I can just one click. And right now, Daily Racing Form, DRF.com, is actually offering you free formulator with the opportunity to gain these free formulator past performances, Chase. I want to pull up the little promotion that they have rolling for the next month or so. Right now, if you go to DRF Bets, they're giving you a really big deposit match bonus too. Deposit $250, they'll give you $250 plus a $10 free bet. So you turn $250 into $510. They give you 10 of these free formulator cards, and this lasts all the way through April 15th. So the next big round of Kentucky Derby preps, if you need some help handicapping, go sign up for DRF Bets. Take advantage of this promotion, and then after that, after you run through your 10 formulator past performance cards, every time you bet another 50, you get the credit to go get another past performance. And this is something that you and I have talked about, and I think a lot of gamblers have had a gripe with for a while, is that, information sometimes is a little bit expensive in our sport, in our game, right? And if you're betting and you're investing your money, should you really have to pay for all those past performances? Now with DRF Bets, every time you bet that 50, boom, you get a credit and you can go get the formulator. So that's really nice. You don't have to, I walked into the track sometimes, man, and if you had to spend money to park and then you buy the program and you buy this and then and all of a sudden you're $50 down before you even walked in the door. Right. That's a frustrating way to feel sometimes,
And listen, with the formulator, man, it's the right way to do it. I mean, I personally cycle out like VHS tapes that I recorded with the camcorder, just pointed at a TV. Yeah. That's how I recorded them. This is the better way to do it. It's just, you're living in the future. Having the replays at your fingertips, you're not having to cycle through tabs to get to them. Great way to do it.
The days when you'd go to the track early and watch them all on the little video, the little ones they'd have, and there'd be a line of people waiting. It'd be like a teller. You'd be sitting, and then all the people behind you start doing those huff and puffs. You start hearing them exhaling and stuff. I'm a big fan of the uncomfortable exhale when someone's taking too long. Just to really make sure they know that they're taking too long. Then you start making those noises with your mouth. You're like.
One time I went and played simulcast at Southland, the Greyhound track in West Memphis, and they still had the go and punch in which past performance you want, and then it basically popped out of a oversized fax machine for you that it printed off. It was the height of luxury.
So great, some of that racetrack technology. As Chase goes to the speed of Ruby Ray, I go to Sunny Morning, just coming off of a couple troubled trips with Sunny Morning. Now, I completely agree with Chase's sentiment in that there's not that much speed on paper here, so I'm just sort of hoping that Phenom can put a little pressure on Ruby Ray, maybe even Carol Girl, and that'll set up for Sunny Morning off those troubled trips recently. So I'm going Sunny Morning. Sunny morning, rain is falling. Little Maroon 5.
Okay. 3 words on your Sunny Morning here, and that's Lope de Vega. Great turf sprint sire.
Lope de Vega. Sunny Morning is the 5 in race number 3. So we move along to prop number 4. Chase, which race will produce the highest win payout? Which one did you end up on?
This one is hard because there's some shorter fields in this one. I went right back to the race that we just talked about. I went with a third. For one, you'll hear me say it every single week. I always lean to turf races. It had one of the bigger fields. I feel like I like Ruby Ray. I didn't see what her morning line odds were at, but
6-1, I think.
Yeah. There's a good chance with as short of these fields are that you could hit a 5-1 in this race and quite possibly be the longest one. I hit this question last week in the first race.
In the first race, there was a $50 winner.
Yeah,
right off the bat. So awesome stuff. Let's see if you can get the highest win payout in back-to-back. I'm going to end up going to race number 7 here, and this is the one that's going a mile on the turf course, and a lot of it has to do with the horse that I picked in here on top. I think is 8-1 Beachgrass, the number 6. So and I just think because of the way this field shapes up, Travel Smart is 5-2. She's So Shiny is 7-2. Even if the favorite were to win and this was a chalky day, this would be one of the races where the favorite might pay the most.
Right.
So I just think the floor for race number 7 is pretty good. If we can catch just one medium-sized payout, then I think race number 7 has an opportunity to be the highest one. Let's jump into some college basketball for today, Wolfie. We've got the Big 12 championship game. We've got Kansas and Texas Tech. And the point spread for this game is a tight one. I believe Kansas is a slight favorite. When it opened up, they were around it was like basically a 1-point game. Now it's trickled up to about 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5 is what I'm seeing that.
Yeah. So I actually like Texas Tech in this game. I like Texas Tech, and I think they have an opportunity to win this game. The spread is tight, and I feel like same sort of thing, right? Close game. More people are going to probably lean with Kansas, the higher seed, with a closer win or a more dominant win. So if the spread is telling me that it's going to be a close game, I'll just kind of zig and go the other way with Texas Tech. They're one of the teams that I love to play when they're trying to play a better team or when they're an underdog because of their style of play, right? Very good defensively. They're not an offensive juggernaut. I hate them when they're laying 5 points or more.
Right.
I never want to back them as a heavy favorite, but as a dog or in situations like that, I don't mind them. Tell us what your approach is in Kansas, Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you flat out, you're completely wrong because we agree. Because we completely agree. I took the lower
today. We're in some trouble today.
We are mushing each other left and right. Yeah, and for a lot of what you said is for one, they're a very tall, very long team, but they also they have a very aggressive defensive style.
Yep.
They're going to be out in your face. They're going to be using that length to really stymie you. I think this is a great spot for them to jump up on Kansas.
Yeah. So we're both on the Texas Tech side. I know my girlfriend's going to love that. She's a Texas Tech alum. So she's very, very excited there. She pew, 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 right?
Pew!
Yeah. Finger guns all over the place. Anytime
with your off-brand Yosemite Sam.
The Shooter McGavin finger guns. So Yosemite Sam, and you got to. Let's get to prop number 6 on today's Pick'em contest. We heard the news recently that the Santa Anita and the Southern California Jockey Colony is going to have a big shakeup, Chase, because Flavian Pratt is going to be leaving. He's going to go to ride at Keeneland, and then following the Keeneland meet, I think what ends up happening, they usually all go to Churchill for about a week, and then he's going to go back east. He's going to ride at Belmont Park there, and he wants to get an opportunity to maybe get more big mounts throughout the week. Often he's someone that Chad Brown has used on a lot of big horses, and knowing that you could be getting a leg up from Brown and in some of those really big grass races and opportunities. So he's going to be leaving. I think he's going to be pretty hungry over these next few weeks to probably get as many victories as he can before he heads out. How many do you think he gets on this card on Saturday?
I was actually surprised. There are quite a few races that he's in where I actually wasn't even considering his horse. So I went low here because it ended up being 5. He hits around 30%. I didn't want to go all the way up to like 2%, all the way up to 3. So I settled on 2. I went with the group think here and went 2.
So yeah, he's on, and I kind of agree with you. I mean, I was just sort of playing the numbers more than there are a few horses that I don't love, but I do like. I really do like Say the Word in the last. I think that horse will get bet down far below the 5-2 morning line. He's on a 7. The odds in his 8 mounts today: 7-5, 5-2, 8-5, 5-1, 5-2, co-second choice, 4-1 third choice, 7-2 second choice, and he's on 4 morning line favorites. That's sort of the number that I went with in just kind of figuring maybe 2 of those really chalky horses he ends up getting the victory on. Say the Word is one that I like, and so I went anytime I'm in my head, I'm deciding, and I was between like 3 or 4 or 2, 3 or 4. I always just go with the less percentage picked, right? I would always rather, if I'm close, I'm always going price. I'm always going longer shot. That's always going to be my determining factor as a gambler. So
right.
Yeah, I would have been 2, 3, 4, one of those. I wouldn't say 0 or 1. I wouldn't go up to 5 and above for Pratt.
Now, did I hear that Rispoli is also moving his tack east?
Both of them. So you'd have to imagine somebody's going to come out.
Yeah,
because there's going to be a lot of mounts opening up. So I bet you that we find out that a good rider from the Midwest or the East Coast decides to move out here.
You want my guess? Joel Rosario.
I mean, you wonder because he he already has the great connections out here in some of them, but it just someone will talk with the trainers out here and make a deal, like an agreement. Hey, I'll ride everything for you, and we're gonna find out in the next week or so that one or two are gonna move, because you would think, and I don't know why. I heard just sort of Pratt mentioning some of the reasons why. I didn't know exactly with Rispoli more than from just hearing him say he wanted to ride against some of the best turf riders and more turf races and stuff. But just from like the pecking order, if Pratt left, you'd have to think Rispoli gets a ton of that business.
Oh
right?
Yeah. He would be the premier at that point. I would guess it'd be between him and Juan.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
Juan would pick up so much. So I wonder if he knew Pratt was leaving before he made that decision, or if now knowing Pratt leaves, if they second guess it or think about making any calling an audible, because there are going to be a lot of live mounts to be picked up out here in Southern California now if both of those two are going to be gone. So yeah, lots will be changing.
Pratt as a non-passive jock in a very passive jock colony in New York is going to clean up.
He's just going to win so many races on the grass when he just gets aggressive and go, and he looks around, he's like, where is everybody else? Oh, I'll just put him on the front end. Or he'll sit third in a great spot, or he'll take horses that are stone cold closers, and he'll just make sure that they're not dead last, that they're third to last. So that way they're in front of a few horses. So that way you just don't have to go in between and through all that traffic. It's the little things too that he does, right? It's not just gunning every horse on the lead. It's just putting them in a spot where he very rarely loses races because of his ride.
Yeah. I feel
worse, they don't win.
If he has an East Coast, comparison, it's Luis Saez, 100%.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And that's what I think all of us, as like win or lose, I'm always give me the over aggressive ride always than the passive ride. And as a fan and as a gambler, I'll be like, hey, you know what? I would prefer that to the other way. At least I had a shot. You moved into the race. You gave me a chance. If you're 10 lengths out of it and you're strangling and grabbing a hold, I never have a shot.
If I never had to watch a race where all the horses just sat back and watched another horse get smaller as it ran away from them, I would be a happy man.
It's funny. I've said a few times in the last few years, it's horse racing. It would be less surprising if in every race, every single horse was just gunned to the lead as fast as they could, and then they all got tired and backed up. That would be less surprising. That would make more sense than when everybody grabs a hold.
Yeah. And watches Mean Mary walk away on the front end on Preakness Day. God, that made me so angry.
I'm always like, it would literally, it's a race. You're all supposed to try to go the fastest you can and win, not just, and we become so tactical that we worry too much about it. Like, I'm just a fan of old school horses that are like, hey, I'm fast. I'm going. I'm going to go. Just try to come with me. I'm going to push you. Some races I'll win. Some races I don't. And that's sort of what Pratt is. He's that old school jockey that just gets you real aggressive and gives you a good ride. In the Big East Championship today, are they going to be aggressive in trying to get to the free throw line? God, I'm good sometimes. See what I did there?
It's smooth. It was smooth.
Those transitions, man, I couldn't finish it up without me having to praise myself for that,
I could see it coming, and I was so excited for it, I decided not to head you off at the pass.
So that's great. That's great. As I stew on that a little bit more, we've got Villanova versus Creighton in the Big East Championship. To me, of all of the conference tournaments, and this is the one that sticks out in my head the most, the Big East. At Madison Square Garden, the Friday night, Saturday night games through the years, the Syracuses or the Georgetowns, the Novas, the UConns when they make their runs. And so we got the Big East title game tonight. I think the point spread is around 6 or so in this game. Villanova is favored by over Creighton. But this question asks us about their free throws. Now, how many free throws will be made total in the Big 12, in the Big East Championship game? Tell us how you kind of handicap this one.
I looked at what their average, free throw attempts per game were, but then what I felt like was a good sanity check was, let me take a look at how often these teams are fouling per game, because that's what dictates what puts them on the line. Yeah, sure, drawing fouls has a lot to do with it. And then what I noticed was Creighton is number 5 in the country when it comes to how many fouls they give per game. 13.4. I went super low. I went 11 to 15 because of how little they actually foul. That number is probably way too low, but then I saw as 14% picked it, and I could still make a justification for it. So I was, yeah.
This is probably one of the few times where we went in opposite directions. So Villanova averages about 73.5 points per game, and 19.5% of their points come via the free throw. Creighton, 15% of their points come via the free throw. They score 69.2 points per game. Villanova is actually the number 1 team in the nation as far as the percentage of their free throws. I'm adding a few extra for a close game at the end if we get some of that fouling at the end. So I wanted to stay away from the 2 middle that were the ones that everyone was going to, 16 to 20 or 21 to 25. So I went up, and I say 26 to 30. Maybe we can get a situation where we get, an extra 5 or 6 free throws late, and it bumps this number up. But these are 2 tournament teams. This will be a good game. It's not as if Creighton needs this game or anything. These teams should both be in. And Villanova's done a really good job over the last, kind of quietly over the last week or two. What's helped them in the last couple of days, Chase, is just teams like Baylor, teams like Auburn losing. They are moving up nicely into the, solidly from a 3, probably into the 2 line.
Yeah. And you actually said something that, as I was explaining my justification, I felt like, I probably should have factored this in, and then you managed to cover it, which is this is a championship game. There are going to be fouls. They're going to be playing hard on defense. So I actually might like your answer a little bit better, but I also never cancel bets. So
that's why we're here too, because it's that talking it out process with your friends, right? This is how a lot of us gamble and prepare for gambling and have through the years. You talk with one of your friends or your dad or your mom, or whoever got you into it. If you're a fan of the team, you're an Arkansas fan, I'm a USC fan, Lakers, Dodgers. Before the games, you're talking with your friends about what's going to happen, what's going on. And then before you're betting, I'm sure everyone's got their little group of people that they talk with. Who do you like today? How are we betting this game? You go back and forth, and sometimes it'll be, oh man, I talked to Chase here and he mentioned that. And for whatever reason, I didn't see that. That wasn't on my radar. Did I miss that? But now you kind of talked me into it. That's what we're here to do on these pick'em preview contests. I'm sure some people go through the props, and they're probably, maybe they're more racing focused, so the racing questions are a little bit easier for them. Or maybe on the flip side, maybe there's someone who's watched some of our sports stuff and they're sports fans, but they're not as big on the racing.
Right.
Hopefully we can just kind of help direct you in any of the questions that you weren't quite as confident on. And
and if a friend talks me onto a winner, then I will thank them for it. If they talk me onto a loser, then I will curse them for it.
Get the hell out of here. Seriously. You'll let them know, and you'll make sure they hear about it for a very long period of time.
Forever, probably. Yeah.
Forever. Forever. As we head to race number 8, that's going to be prop number 8, and it's another just pick the winner here. So tell us about the 8th race and who you're going to be selecting in here.
Yep, we are going 6 furlongs on the dirt. It's a $12,500 claimer for fillies and mares 4 years old and upward. This is one where it looked like there was a good amount of need the lead dueling speed in the race. And after what I saw last weekend with during the San Felipe weekend, I didn't see a lot of horses really making up ground in the stretch. I saw it looked like it was pretty tiring in the stretch. So I decided that while I don't necessarily want one of those duelers, I want the horse that's going to be sitting right off of those. And for me, that was Lil Grayson, who I believe is number 3 or number 2.
The deuce here. Yeah. Lil Grayson should sit a great trip, right? Very consistent form as of late, has that style where she's not as fast as everybody else, but she's not so slow where she's going to get outrun.
Right.
And that's what you want, I think, in this particular situation. And so I'm going to go, I'm kind of looking, I handicapped this race. My angles and stuff are very similar to yours, and what I'm looking for, which horses do I want to target, because how I'm seeing this race shape up from a pace standpoint. I'm going to go to the outside. I'm going to go with Chelima. And I look at Chelima in here, and there are a few things that jumped out at me about Chelima. So we've got the 4 races going a mile, second beaten 4 lengths, second beaten 8 lengths, and the other 2 are beaten 12 plus. If you toss the turf races, you're left with some really good sprints. Look at the last 2 times that Chelima sprinted. You've got a win going 5.5. You've got a win going 6, where they sat the trip that we're talking about, right? That trip where you're just off the pace a little bit, not necessarily right on the lead, but you're close enough. You're in stalking range. And I know that she'll be able to pass horses on the cutback. I look at some of the races that she exits also. This January 9th race, she was behind Bye Bye Birdie, who has come back and been in unbelievable form as of late. Bye Bye Birdie has won 4 of 5, and the only race in that stretch that she didn't win was in the Grade 3 Bayakoa behind As Time Goes By, who has turned into an absolute monster against Graded Stakes Company. She won the Grade 1 Beholder Mile last weekend. The 3rd place finisher in that race was Midnight Jamboree. Midnight Jamboree came back on February the 25th and got an 81 Beyer speed figure in winning that race by 4. So I think that we're just in comparing the races too that Chelima comes out of. They're really tough. I think she's going to sit the trip that we're thinking that she might be able to sit. And when you dig into, I love horses like this where last 2 races, they're both excuses. They're both going long. They're both in tough spots. She ran into Bye Bye Birdie, Midnight Jamboree, and then Midnight Jamboree came back and beat her. And so, I'll go to the outside with Chelima, and I do have your horse picked in. I'm using 5, 7, 2, 5, 7, and 8 in like exotics. I think this is the first leg of that Golden Hour pick 4, which is a fun one too. That low takeout, a pick 4 that combines Santa Anita and Golden Gate. So no chalk zone for us in race number 8.
Yep.
Okay, where are we heading for prop number 9, Chase?
All right, it's another pick the winner, and it's going to be the feature here on the card, which is the San Luis Race Stakes Grade 3, going 1.5 miles marathon on the turf, and it's for 4-year-olds and upwards. I think it's a pretty good little race, but there's one horse that is a threat to get absolutely loose. I don't think anyone is going to go with this horse, and I think we get a wire job here with the 6 Acclimate.
Acclimate is, to me, I couldn't get to anyone but Acclimate and Say the Word. I and anyone that watches these shows and watches my stuff, like I try really hard to not be a chalk player, and I very rarely even will give out situations where I'm playing the favorites, but I just couldn't get to the way that I'm seeing this shape up, because Acclimate, like you said, Acclimate is the horse to catch, no doubt, and they'll all have to run Acclimate down. And the only reason why I went to Say the Word was because the Hollywood Turf Cup race was the one that it sticks out to me, whereas Acclimate got the lead, cleared. It looked like Acclimate was gone, and Say the Word was still able to run Acclimate down that day. And I think now, second start off the bench, got the San Marcos, that 3rd out of the way. The 3rd was actually basically a second. It was like right on the wire there late, finishing for 2nd. Friars Row just got the jump, was a little bit better. Pratt jumps aboard, save all the ground here in the inside and come rolling. So for me, it's Say the Word. For Chase, it's Acclimate. And this is one race where I would say, I feel like those are the 2 horses that make the most sense by far. I wouldn't try to get too cute or creative in here. It would be one of those 2 for me, for sure.
Yeah, this one quick note on Acclimate, always pay attention to the distances that these horses are running in the races. Don't just look at the little byline that says the record at the distance, because you see that Acclimate was 5:01:0 at going 1.5 miles. And you might think, oh, well, the horse can't handle the distance. But then you see the horse's won at 1 3/4 miles. Has gone longer.
Yeah, it's just more of the race shape than it is for him getting the distance. If we know what we're going to, if he gets out front and they go slow enough and he doesn't get pushed all that much, he can win. And honestly, maybe it's just that some of the horses he loses to are just a little bit better than him too. There's no shame in losing and running second to a horse like Say the Word. We'll find out today if it is more of is it a race shape thing? Is it a Say the Word's better thing? Acclimate will have every opportunity today to get the lead and to try to steal that race in race number 9, prop number 9. So there are 12 props today. That was the last of the racing props, I believe, right? We've got hockey, college basketball, and then college basketball in the last two. So let's head back to the pick'em screen. Tell us a little bit about the prop for number 10.
Yep, we're going the total goals in the Ducks versus Devils game. The line is set at 6.5.
Okay, where are you going in this one?
I think I've told you I've got a magic number when it comes to hockey totals. I hit a 4-team hockey parlay using this philosophy. If it's 5.5, always over. If it's anything over 5, always under. So if 6.5, I went under here.
Yeah, and I mean my analysis here isn't even all that crazy, but it's just the line is settling around 6.
Right.
Like, so if this is a spread that's 6.5, and that's what is tricky with these contests, and that way we have to really pay attention to, is because these contests get put up a day or two in advance sometimes. So sometimes the lines aren't even out, or it's based off of early lines. Things move a lot, there's injuries, or just money comes in and it shifts. So if you can ever just get the better of the closing line value, right? I try to lean in that direction. If you're playing a line and it's it's a 9-point game and the line is now 11 and you're going to play the favorite at 9, I feel like you're getting a couple points bought into that. That's sort of what you're getting here. Like, you're getting that half of a goal bought into it.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Yep. So we're on the underside, both me and Chase, in the Ducks Devils game. We head to the ACC championship. We head to Duke Va-Tech. And these are two really prolific 3-point shooting teams, Chase, in particular Va-Tech.
Yep. Yeah. You just look at what Va-Tech did last night. And you look at, their average 3-pointers per game. They're both kind of up there if you look at where they stack up to the rest of the NCAA Division I basketball. I went one below you. I went with the chalk, but I will say we got our wish last week that Coach K had to take a sad curtain call after he lost.
We got that. And they haven't looked good since. They haven't looked great. Even in their wins, they were like, and this is why I'm not all that dead set on them being a Final Four team, is that defensively, they're not that great. They're not that top tier for a team that's that good. Both of these last 2 games for Duke, they've played one really good half and one really bad half.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I went 16-20. I kind of just decided to stick with about the averages. Yeah. There's so much like human emotion that goes into these games that like I didn't want to say that they're going to come out and everyone's going to be dialed in and just knocking them down, or that they're all going to be nervous and not make any. So I was an old CEW, chalk eating weasel.
So, yeah, I mean, and the averages are, I think Virginia Tech is about 9 3-pointers per game. Duke is about 8.3 per game. So you're right in that like 17-ish range. The reason why I just went a little over instead is because of the clip that Virginia Tech shoots them at. They make 9 of 23 a game. They are number 4 in the nation in 3-point percentage. They're 4th best out of 360 teams. So they could it wouldn't even be that crazy for them to get hot. Like, they are one of the best 3-point shooting teams playing against a team that's not all that great. Think about the last few days defending the 3. Boeheim was going nuts. And that wasn't even the better of the Boeheims.
Right.
That sounds like it should be a TV show, right?
Like
better than the Boeheims.
Better, yeah. The lesser Boeheim. Yeah.
Yeah. Keeping up with the Boeheims. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So I'm going one ahead of you for shout out to our buddy Eric, who is on Va-Tech. I think he played Va-Tech to win the conference at 14-1. I think he locked them in. So you do a little stream with Eric on Tuesday nights, the cocktail hour, where you go through everything happening in the world of sports and you talk about some fun and stories and some debauchery. So little shout out to our buddy who's one of the sharper handicappers that I know for sure.
I will say I did want North Carolina to make the finals, because now I think it would be awesome if North Carolina just followed around Coach K and ruined his last of everything.
If they beat him again, right?
Yeah.
And somehow North Carolina, like, I just want North Carolina and Duke to play in the NCAA tournament, because it looks like North Carolina, I think they're in with their win against Duke. They probably would have needed to lay an egg in the first game to not get in. So they're probably in. I just want to see them. You're right. Follow them around and
Yeah.
have every time that Coach K wants to cry, North Carolina's on the opposite side.
If he could, if Vatek could even just debut their powder blue alternate uniforms today, that would be good enough for me. It would be awesome.
Okay, let's get to our final prop on the night. It's going to be the Pac-12 championship game, and it asks, how many points do you think the leading scorer in this game will have? Now, I think there are a few things that are worth mentioning. First, Kerr from Chris, all right, from Arizona, one of their best players. He's out. He won't be playing. So that could open things up for a few other players from Arizona. And then on the UCLA side, they're actually playing really well right now, kind of quietly. Yep. UCLA had a stretch in about a month ago where they were not playing great. They had a couple bad losses, and they didn't have a bunch of big wins on their card. So we were starting to wonder how good they were. But they've actually played pretty well recently. And I saw you tweeting about the man last night, Jaquez.
Yeah,
man,
the conquistador.
He is such a great college player in that mid-range. He knows exactly where he can go and hit that little turnaround on the baseline or at the free throw line, and it's so hard to defend.
People always talk about Drew Timmy's footwork. I feel like Jaquez has just as good, if not better, footwork. It's how he gets those shots off, and he does a really good job of it.
Yeah. So I think with as well as he's been playing, and the fact that Arizona is missing one of their key contributors, so that means that a couple of their players could maybe need to have a little, like their point total could need to be a little bit higher to keep them in this game. I went probably a little bit higher than what's normal for a college game, having someone in the 26 to 30. But we do see at this point of the year now, the players that are, the guards or the players that are the ball handlers, when they get rolling, they start to really get rolling. And I think at this point, we do see higher point totals now than we would like throughout the year, where that guy's rolling and you just see them every time down. Ball's in their hand. They dial up they look for the screen, they attack, or they're just draining threes. So give me a high number here. I'm going 26 to 30.
I stayed pretty much like what's in the norm with college players. And I went 16 to 20 because I do think that as well as Jaquez played last night against USC and in the previous game before, I believe again, it wasn't against Washington, it was against Washington State.
Yep.
As well as he's playing, you're going to need to get points out of Juzang, out of I think his name is Tiger. From behind, he looks like a Cocker Spaniel to me.
Bernard has actually been playing pretty well too, so he could. It's a good thing for UCLA, I think, if Jaquez doesn't go out there and have like 30. That means that probably means they're spreading it around more and getting more guys involved. And I think for every team, that's probably a positive thing. So we'll differ a little bit here. Chase is going to go a little lower on the 16 to 20. I'm going to go 26 to 30 on what is an awesome day of college basketball over the next few weeks. So by this time next week, when we are talking and we're doing this stream next week, we are going to be talking about teams that are playing to get into the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So think about that. Within the next week, between right now and Saturday, we'll have conference champions crowned between now and tomorrow. We'll have the brackets come out, full selection Sunday. We'll have play-in games on Tuesday, Wednesday. Everybody will have at least one game on Thursday, Friday, and we'll be talking about in just 1 week. That's a lot that happens.
Oh yeah, it's like watching your kids grow up and you get to see what they finally become.
It is.
I'm pretty excited. My bold prediction: Auburn's out in the first round. They can't win away from home.
I don't like Auburn that much either, man. I'm cold on Auburn, and I'm almost a little bummed that two teams that I didn't like that much lost yesterday, Auburn and Providence, because I wanted to really attack them deeper. So I wonder if those losses may undervalue. You know what I mean? They won't be quite as hyped up moving forward because they did just throw a loss in there. But good luck to your squad today in the semis. Hopefully you make it through and you're playing tomorrow. You got a great draw in the way things worked out for you, being a 6.5 point favorite or so to try to get through. Good luck to you at Oaklawn. Also, tell everybody where we can find your selections if they need any help handicapping and about the Wolf of Oaklawn.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to partner with Horse Racing Nation. If you go to picks.horseracing.com, you'll find my page on there. It just says the Wolf of Oaklawn Handicapping. I've got full card analysis each day, every single race. I'll give you who I like, but also give you the reasoning behind it and a couple ways to structure the bets. That's always out there. Always got a 30-day subscription plan with it also. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah. So what you have daily selections and kind of tell us a little bit about what it looks like when you purchase it.
Yeah, sure. I've got set up each race. I'm going to tell you what my confidence is in my picks for each race. I'm going to tell you who the top 4 are. And then I'm going to structure out those bets for you. And then I'm going to give you a notes section that says, this is what I think happens. These are the angles that I'm seeing, and these are the wagers that I will be making.
Awesome. Here it is right there. I just wanted to get a little bit of time so I could pull this up for you. That's all.
There you go.
I just wanted you to talk for a few seconds so I could get this up here. There we go.
You're supposed to go like this. Right?
I was going to say, yeah, just keep going. Just extend.
Pull the taffy.
Yeah.
Pull the taffy.
Make sure anytime you're playing over at Oaklawn, make sure to stop in and purchase these selections so that way you have a great little handicapping helper for you as you're moving through the card there. This man handicaps every race over at Oaklawn, so he definitely will know some things, and he'll be kind of alerted to some things that if you're not playing every day, every race, you may not be paying attention to.
Yeah.
So
dog whistles.
Thank you so much, man. This is an awesome few weeks for us as sports fans. There's so much going on. I know you're a big college basketball fan, as am I. So we'll be watching games all day long, playing the races again. And we encourage you to get to pick'em.santanita.com. Totally free to enter and to get involved. We'll see you next week. We'll do this around the same time, tentatively right now. We'll talk before the next week, but we're going to aim next week again for noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll set you up on Saturday right for the start of the games as the teams try to get into the Sweet 16. Good luck, folks, and I hope everyone out there crushes it on an awesome handicapping weekend. Santa Anita, pick'em.com.